Hello, Harding High School algebra students. This is going to be the start of our solving equations unit. We're starting with a unit that you've probably seen before. It's just really important. We want to make sure that you have a really strong foundation of it before we move on further into the course. So we're starting with solving equations, and this video will focus on one-step equations. Everything about solving equations is about trying to get a variable all by itself. So we are trying to get this variable all by itself. There's going to be some other numbers in the way, and all you have to do is do the opposite thing to get rid of it. So we're going to get really good at opposites. So the opposite of adding is going to be subtracting. And it goes the other way too. The opposite of subtracting will be adding. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. And one that you maybe haven't seen before, maybe you have, the opposite of a squared term. So when you see that little 2 up on top, the opposite of that is something called a square root. So as long as we are good at understanding what these opposites are, and then it's going to be pretty easy to solve these one-step equations. First, let's take a look at some one-step equations in real life, and then we'll show how they can be set up and then solved. So we have Adam the adder. He's saving up for a car, and he currently has $1,800 saved up. The car he wants costs $2,500. How much money does he need to save in order to afford this car? So he's got $1,800 already, but he has to save a certain amount to get to the total cost, which is $2,500. So right now we have this x over here, but this 1,800 is adding to it. So in order to get rid of an adding 1,800, we do the opposite. So we just end up subtracting 1,800. Now whatever we do on one side of the equal sign, we have to do the exact same thing to the other. So we're going to subtract 1,800. By doing that, the 1,800s go away, and on the left side we're left with x, and we get equals 2,500 minus 1,800 is 700. So Adam the adder will need to save $700 more in order to be able to afford that car. And let's go to Sierra the subtractor. So Sierra the subtractor, she ran out of storage on her iPad, so she decided to delete some videos to clear out space. She deleted 240 videos, and now she has 650 remaining. How many videos did she have at the start? So she started with a certain amount of videos. We're going to call it X. And then she deleted some. So she was subtracting some videos from her storage. So she subtracted 240 videos. And the new total that she has is 650. So I want to know, how many did she have at the start? We're going to try and solve for x. Right now the x is being subtracted by 240. So to get rid of a subtracting 240, you just do the opposite. So we are going to add 240 to both sides. And by doing that, the 240s go away. And all you're left with over there is x equals 890. So Sierra started with 890 videos on her iPad, and she deleted 240, and that left her with 650. And we're on to Morgan the multiplier. Morgan the multiplier worked a summer job landscaping. They're getting paid $25 per hour, and at the end of the day, they earned $175. How many hours did they work? So we have $25 per hour, and we don't know how many hours they work, so we're just going to call that x. So it's $25 for a certain number of hours. You multiply it by how many hours you worked, and that equals a total of 175. That 25, because it's right next to the x, what it means is it's multiplying. So right now x is being multiplied by 25. To get rid of multiplying, you just do the opposite. So we're going to divide by 25 on both sides. And then that 25 goes away. And we're left with 1x on that side equals, and you can use a calculator to do these, 175 divided by 25 equals 7. So Morgan worked for 7 hours on that day. All right, and we are on to Deandra, the divider. She's a sweet grandmother. She gave each of her 12 grandchildren the same amount of money for their birthdays this past year. Each grandchild, they received $40. She didn't play any favorites or anything. She gave everyone the same amount. How much total money did Deandra give out? So, Deandra had a certain amount of money, but it was split up evenly. So another word for that is it was divided by 12 grandchildren. So whatever money she had, she split it up over 12 grandchildren, and each one ended up getting $40. So I want to know how much total money did Deandra give out? So what's happening now is this x is being divided by 12. So the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So we're going to multiply by 12 on both sides. And then the 12s go away. We get x equals 40 times 12 is 480. So Deandra gave out $480. She split it over 12 grandchildren. Each one got 40. And let's take a couple examples without the word problems built in. I like to draw the line going down the equals sign right away. Right now, x is being added by 8. To get rid of an adding by 8, we have to subtract 8 from both sides. Then we can cancel out the 8s, and we get x equals 32 minus 8 is 24. And you can always take your answer and plug it back into the original equation and check your answer. So 24 plus 8 does give you 32, so it's correct. We go to the next one. The x is being multiplied by 5. So to get rid of a multiplying by 5, you have to do the opposite, which is divide by 5. So we're going to divide both sides by 5. And we get x equals 28 divided by 5 is 5.6. On the next one, we have x is being divided by 7. So to get rid of a divided by 7, you do the opposite, and that is multiply it by 7. I like to put multiply in those parentheses. So when you have a number next to something in parentheses, it means it's multiplying. We cancel out the 7s, and we get x equals 3 times 7 is 21. And now we'll get to some negatives over here. X is being subtracted by 10. To get rid of a subtracting by 10, we have to add 10 to both sides. And then the 10s go away. On the left side, we're left with x. And if you take negative 20 and you add 10 to it, it's going to become a negative 10. If you're not super comfortable with your negatives and all the rules that follow along with negatives, just double check it on a calculator. Take negative 20 plus 10. It should equal negative 10. And over here, we have x's on the right side this time. And to get rid of this 12, that 12, because it's a positive 12, is adding to the x. So we want to get rid of that 12. To get rid of an adding 12, we will just subtract 12 from both sides. And then the 12s go away. 40 take away 12 gives you 28. So x would equal 28. And one more here together. We have negative 50 equals negative 2x. So in this case, it says that x is being multiplied by a -2. So it doesn't mean subtracting 2, it means it's multiplying by -2. So to solve for x, we're going to do the opposite, which is divide by -2. Divide by -2. And if you take a -50 divided by -2, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So that would be 25 and a positive 25. So now we have 6 of them to do your own. What I'd suggest you do is pause the video here, and we'll give you a little bit of time that you can try these on your own. When you're done, play the video back, and then I will reveal the answers to you. So go ahead and hit pause. All right, I'm back. If you did these correctly, you should have added 13 to both sides and gotten 24. If you did the next one correctly, now when you submit these, you're going to have to show your steps, but I'll make sure you get the correct answer here so you can check. Times by 5 on both sides should have been 75. Next one should have been 13. Next one should have been 8. -9. And for the last one, there's a couple ways that you could write your answer. Some of you might have taken, I'll just show, 20 divided by 6 on both sides, and you might have gotten 3.33333333, and that would be fine. If you hit that button where it converts it into a fraction for you, you would have gotten 10/3, and either of those answers is fine with us. All right, one more example. We have a grid that shows a total of 196 small squares. So if you count every single one of these squares in here, you would count that there are 196 of them. So I want to find what is the length of each side without actually counting it. So we have the length of a side is x, and to find the area, it's just taking this length of x times this length, which is also x because it's a square. So x times x becomes x squared, which gives you the total area, which is 196. Now to solve an x squared, remember the opposite of a squared is a square root. So I'm going to square root both sides, and by doing that, that squared will go away. So on your calculator, you can type in the square root of 196, and we get x equals 14. Now, if you want to be super technical, when you're solving equations and you take the square root of both sides, there's technically a positive 14 and a negative 14 as your answer. So technically there's 2 answers. We're just focusing on the positive one. So go ahead and try the next 3 on your own, and then you're done with this first set of notes. Nice job.